We are going to continue reacting to the White House's uh, AI action plan. So, this is their plan for how they're going to implement AI across the government and export that to other nations. The way we've kind of got this set up is we have the document here, and we've also got an AI agent that can process all of it on the other side. See something real quick. Okay. So, just to recap, national security imperative to maintain unquestioned and unchallenged global technological dominance. It's a pretty cool vision. Um, Another crazy thing. They expect it to be an industrial revolution, an information revolution, and a renaissance all at once, right? That's bizarre. Um, Not bizarre, but like a lot. Um, Here we go. So this is where we left off. We need to establish American AI for. Right, so we want to be the gold standard for AI adoption across the world. And there's three pillars they want to implement. There's three pillars of their sorry, three pillars of their AI action plan. Okay, so they want AI to be a positive thing. This is great, but how do we, from a policy level, enforce something like that? Um, when we're talking breakthroughs in medicine, manufacturing, all these other things. There's a clip from Simon Sinek in the Diary of a CEO where he talks about something similar with web designers, where basically even though they have AI to do the work in 1/10 of the time, they're still charging the same prices. How do we ensure that when people leverage better technology and streamline manufacturing, medicine, all these other things, that their margins aren't increasing also? This is so big. And honestly, I'm so glad they put this in, right? The AI systems, if you want people to trust them, they need to be free of ideological bias. And I think pursuing objective truth is the way to guarantee the trust of American people. It also gives people a very solid gut check when they have something that you can quickly reference and say, hey, this is at whatever confidence interval, this is the truth. I think what we're seeing is the complete opposite at a global scale where people are leveraging so many things to manipulate what the truth is and manipulate people. And so fighting for unbiased models, fighting for truth in the society is going to be, I think, essential to adoption. It's also a wicked problem. So I'm interested to see how they're fighting for truth. So this is a near-term plan for the federal government. All right, so there's three pillars of this document. The first one is accelerating AI innovation. So their first priority, their first pillar is to make innovation come through as fast as possible, keep America on the cutting edge, make sure that our competitors aren't catching up. So the first way they want to accelerate AI innovation is by removing red tape and onerous regulation. So there's some crazy things just in this summary. He rescinded an executive order that regulated AI. I'd love to look into that. And the intent was to remove bureaucracy at the early stage of development. So this is really interesting. What they're saying right here is that they will prioritize the states that have decreased bureaucracy towards innovation. They will give them more funding if they reduce bureaucracy. But I love that they also put in the clause they're not interfering with it, but they want to put the money where the money's actually going to be used. I think that's great. So here's the recommended policy actions. So they're not dictating anything. Let's look at that. Now, here's what they recommend the government does to remove red tape and onerous regulation. So they want OSTP to request, they want OSTP to research what is hindering AI adoption and innovation. They want OBM, sorry, they want OMB to work with all the other agencies to reduce any cumbersome guidance, orders, any policy or documentation that hinders AI development. All right, and this is where we talked about. All right, and this is where they cover what they were talking about above. They also want OMB to be prudent in what states they're giving the funding to, making sure that they're getting the best bang for their buck and they're not going to see those dollars disappear into bureaucracy. They basically want the FCC to balance check any policy that's related at a state level. That's interesting. And the final thing that they want to do is have the FTC That's really interesting. The last thing they want to do is have the FTC balance their investigations to make sure they aren't hindering AI innovation. So they're giving corporations free reign to innovate. I don't know how I feel about that one. That one's a little more spooky. The next way that the government wants to accelerate AI innovation is that is by ensuring that frontier AI protects free speech and American values. This is interesting. This one statement both encourages designers of these models to protect free speech and pushes the government away from interfering with this. I think we saw a little bit of that earlier, and so I'm glad that they are pushing back. I think this first sentence really hits home. Everyone at some point is going to be using these models. So it's important in the so it's in the interest of the American people to make sure that the truth is reflected in all the tools that they're using. I think we've seen so many disinformation campaigns over the past. I think we're only seeing a rise of social engineering campaigns and disinformation campaigns. And I think that the only way to combat that is with definitive sources of truth. So here's what they recommend to make this happen. Okay, so they want to direct the National Institute. Okay, so they want to direct NIST to revise their risk management framework to eliminate references of misinformation, diversity, equity, inclusion, and climate change. I could see why the party wants to remove all of those except for misinformation. Why would you not want risk to be calculated on the accuracy of a model? Yeah, to me, that is a little confusing. Update federal procurement guides to ensure that the government only contracts with frontier large language model developers who ensure that their systems are objective and free from top-down ideological bias. So, a few questions on that. Does this line right here guarantee that only the big corporations are going to be able to deploy trustworthy AI models? Right, trustworthy. This is also an interesting thing. I don't know how you prove that it's free from bias. Um, it's funny too because bias is actually especially when the whoever's auditing a model would have a bias. This is a cool one. They also want the Department of Commerce to have NIST Center for AI Standards and Innovation do research and basically audit all the AI models that have come out of China. I think there will be some really interesting findings from that. This was a slide that I presented in a NATO conference, but you can see there's definitely a bias or incentive to not talk about things that are embarrassing to China on Chinese models. This is DeepSeek refusing to talk about Tiananmen Square, saying, I don't know anything about it. So I think it'll be very interesting to look in depth or see research that goes in depth into the findings of the bias of specific models released by China. The next way they want to accelerate AI innovation is by encouraging open source and open weight AI. And for those that don't know the difference, think of open source as everything is freely available. You can see the code, you can see how everything works. Whereas open weight is showing whereas open weight provides transparency for the decision framework that the model uses. So to make it simple, this one shows you how it was built, and this one shows you how it thinks. I love this one. So by encouraging people to push out open source and open weight models, you're actually encouraging a democratization of innovation with AI. And they say that right here. There's a unique value because startups can use them without being dependent on someone else. So anyone can innovate on them, which is great. I love that they mention this as well because that's why Nipper GPT, Camo GPT, all these solutions are so big, is because researchers were able to take these open source models, deploy them on a secure environment, and process government information without having to worry about third party vendors having access. This is really interesting. By driving America to produce models on American values, they could become the standard for business and academia worldwide, which gives them a geostrategic value. Right. And I think that really sums it up. We win by ingraining our principles in global tools. So here's glasses on. So here's how they plan to accomplish this: ensuring academics and startups have access to compute, and they want to do this by collaborating, and they want to achieve this through collaboration with industry, NIST, Department of Commerce, OSTP, and the National Science Foundation's National AI Research Resource Pilot Program. I've actually never heard of that. So they want this NARE, National AI Research Resource, to collaborate with industry to improve market conditions for compute, to ensure research communities have access to the best tools, and to unite researchers and educators across the country. and to build pretty much a pipeline for getting resources to academics. They want OSTP to redraft a new R&D plan to prioritize AI. And they want the Department of Commerce to drive adoption of open source, open weight models, especially for small and medium sized businesses. So, academics, researchers, get ready because you might be getting a lot more compute for your research. I'm excited to see how this one plays out. All right, I think that's where we're going to stop for today. I'll keep going tomorrow. Thanks for watching.